As I got to the peak of the reservoir, I beheld coming towards me a zombie, walking a pale dog with crazy eyes in the yellowing light. We nodded as we passed each other, going in opposite directions, and then he made a decision, turned and asked, "Have you heard the news about what the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals just did?" I allowed as how I hadn't looked at the news today, so I said I wasn't aware of what he meant. Now, I think I should pause here and mention that Hollywood has zombies portrayed all wrong. In the Hollywood movies, you can see them coming a mile away with flesh rotting off the bone and a rather limited vocabulary. That may be the way they do it down on the islands, but up here we have a much stronger and more adaptable breed of zombies. For one thing, most of the zombies up here are white, and they blend in so well that they can easily seem to be part of the neighborhood. He wore an SF Giants baseball cap over his white hair, and that probably bought him some more time before I realized that he was a zombie. He did have half a booger sticking out of his right nostril, and for a moment I thought that was what was grossing me out about this guy. "There will be consequences of this ruling," he said about the U.S. Appeals Court finding that California's gay marriage prohibition bill was illegal. I said something, but he didn't listen to it. Instead, he jumped right in about how Craigslist should be charged as a co-defendant for all the pedophiles that it enabled in the web. Now, I'm pretty sure that this guy has never actually encountered a pedophile on the web. I figure that he probably heard it on the radio as a rant by a talk show puppet. The object of the rant was not the pedophiles, but to direct rage at Craigslist itself. I mentioned that legally it had been decided with the common carrier ruling that holds that AT&T is not liable for providing the common carrier structure in which illegal deeds are discussed in phone calls. It applied first to phone calls, and then to internet postings, and then to common markets such as Craigslist. He tried one more time. "I think that they're going to reverse Roe v. Wade real soon, and it's about time." It was then I realized that not a single thing that he said was his original thought. It had all been planted there by what he'd heard on the radio. His form of releasing dopamine to his brain was in indexing and remembering the rants that he had heard and repeating them to others. Fortunately, we had been walking in opposite directions, so it was relatively easy to concoct a need to move on. As I put distance between myself and the zombie, I reflected upon how lucky I have been living here in the Sunset District these past decades. 20 years, and this was my first encounter with a zombie in this neighborhood. I began thinking about this strange big kid back in the 8th grade who went rattling on with half a booger hanging out of his right nostril. It had been nearly 50 years. Could this be the same guy?